Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. This is the BF Space Docker, and I'm about to find out if it'll off-road. This is the second most voted for vehicle this week, coming in with 9 votes. You can vote for the vehicles that you want to see by clicking on the link in the description down below. So the Space Docker, it's actually, I know some people who aren't aware that this even exists in GTA 5. It's not a GTA Online vehicle. It's never been brought to GTA Online. But it's an unlockable vehicle in story mode. You have to complete the spaceship part collections. I forget the guy's name. I'm sure somebody will leave a comment down below. But there's a guy you go talk to, Omega, I think is his name. I believe you go as Franklin, and he tells him about, you know, all this spaceship freaky stuff. And then you go about collecting a bunch of spaceship parts all over the map. And then when you go back and see, you get your reward, which is that, the Space Docker. It is based on the Dune Buggy, roughly. I mean, that's what's underneath it. And it makes a funky noise and has a funky horn, as you just heard there. And it's alright. I mean, it is in the off-road class. It cannot be upgraded. The only thing you can do with it in Los Santos Customs is repair it. I could have used single-player mods and upgraded it that way, but since it can't be upgraded normally, well, I didn't bother. It also has funky green headlights and all the blue, the blue, teal, aqua, whatever you want to call it, tubing that's all around it, has a nice glow at night as well, and we'll see that later in the video, but not for very long. But as far as off-roading, well, it's doing fine. It has just enough grip to keep going. It is very top-heavy, though. You've seen it just wobbling around, and all the corners just a ton of body roll, a ton of lean. And it's been a challenge to keep it from rolling over, honestly. But aside from that, since it's not super powerful, and it has just enough grip, it maintains its forward momentum just fine. I mean, I don't struggle anywhere with it getting stuck or anything. It's just a consistent, steady climb up to the top. Matter of fact, the time that it's going to get puts it in 5th place for my off-road vehicles. Granted, I have it just in every off-road vehicle. I mean, that's coming in ahead of things like the Rusty Rebel, the Sand King XL, the Bodie, the Liberator, the Meriwether Mesa, the regular Rebel, and the Dubs, the 6x6, and the Marshall. So that's a lot of other vehicles that you think would be much faster than this. But because they all have a lot of torque, they get a lot of wheel spin, therefore they struggle sometimes. Whereas this has no torque. Well, it has some. I just keep honking the laser horn at different animals. This has no torque, therefore no real wheel spin. No real wheel spin. That's really hard to say. But yeah, so it's making the climb just fine. It's aside from the fact I gotta remember it's really top heavy and has the high center of gravity, it's been okay. And we're up 3 minutes, 8 seconds. Will the Space Docker off-road?
I'm gonna call the fucking cops.
It will. Dinged out cops, but not fucking. That was awesome. So that means we now have to take it in a controlled descent back down Mount Chiliad. And this is where the top-heavy nature really comes into play. In fact, this is my second attempt at taking the Space Docker down Mount Chiliad. The first time it rolled over on me, went down the mountain, and because you can't put any armor on it, and because we're in story mode, it exploded and killed poor Franklin. I figured since Franklin's the one who has to go through all the bullshit of collecting the space parts, it was only proper to have him in the video. Of course, you can't quite see it right now, but he is sporting the 100% shirt. God, I wish we could get that shirt online. I mean, I completed the story. Why can't I brag about it online as well? That horn cracks me up. Death to mountain lions, I say. They're horrible, evil things that I've hated ever since Red Dead Redemption, when they used to scare the shit out of me and kill me and my horse. There we go. There's that top-heavy nature coming into play. It just nearly rolled over on me. I was able to save it. But it's a major liability going down the mountain. You would think being in the off-road class it wouldn't struggle as much, but does on that uneven bit there, it just kind of kicked off to one side instead of trying to navigate it. Got sideways, and I think that might be the first sideways jump we've ever done there. I really am trying to avoid everything with the mountain lions, but they just keep...
Hey, little homie.
Yeah, little homie, what are you doing? They just keep getting right in the way. I love that he calls the animals homie. Look at that. Just on the landing, just constantly over on two wheels. Caused to spin out almost off the side of the mountain again. Oy vey. This takes a handful going downhill. That's why I'm going so slow. So I don't want to blow up again. Because it's a pain in the ass to drive this thing all the way from Franklin's garage to the mountain. Because I couldn't get it to work in director mode where you can just teleport. I didn't want to load in mods just to teleport, because then I'd have to take them back out. And that's a pain, just to make sure I don't have any mods before I go online again. So I drove it twice. All the way from Franklin's garage down in Strawberry. All the way out here without damaging it, without getting into a single accident. So that takes effort. So, yeah, that's why I'm going slow, because I don't want to blow up again. Which means we've got a pretty slow descent time. Usually the descent times are much quicker than the ascent. There we go, over on two wheels again. God, this thing just wants to roll. It's pretty useless as a car. I mean, it's fun to goof around in because, just look at it. Plus, the cutscenes that you deal with, I'm pretty sure his name's Omega. They're pretty entertaining as well. Environment-based life form. But we are down in 3 minutes, 1 second. Nearly hit a Sand King. So let's go back to the top of Mount Chiliad where we'll get to see the lights for a very, very brief time. This is going to be the shortest damage descent ever because, well, 5 seconds in, it blew up. It reared into a rock, DNF'd, and there's no way I was going to go drive this thing all the way from the city a third time. So we're calling it damage, total loss, and we are going to move on to the next vehicle, which is the Declasse Tampa. This is the first most voted for vehicle this week, coming in with 14 votes. Don't forget, you can vote for the vehicles that you want to see by clicking on the link in the description down below. The first link takes you to voting. The second link shows you the times, the spreadsheet of the times by class and by overall. Plus, it shows you what currently has what for votes. It's all ranked right there on a little tab in that spreadsheet. It's kind of handy. And there is a new perk to the voting. If you join the ranks of Patreon supporters over on my Patreon page, it's just patreon.com/Vainglorious. At the $5 a month or more level, your Will It Offroad votes count double. And right now there's only one patron at that level, and it's Tacos Potatoes. And God knows he has been a tyrant already in voting for Will It Offroad. And as I'm recording this, he just typed in Discord because he just saw my post on Patreon that it now counts as double because I just made the change on the same day that I'm recording this. I added that reward. And he is planning evil things in Discord, you can tell. It's sad. So somebody, please stop Tacos tyranny. Or at least join him in the madness by becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon supporter at the $5 a month level. So that at least somebody else can wreak havoc on the Will It Offroad series. Please, God, somebody. Anyways, the Declasse Tampa. Fantastic car. I love the Tampa. It's just not something I get to drive all that often because it's on my second character. I don't own a lot of the business properties on my second character, so I always play on my first character. Because, well, I want to make the money with the business properties. And so, sadly, I've got a lot of cars that get neglected over on my second character, and a lot of cars that I really like. It just makes me sad. And what really makes me sad is, I don't know if it's out by the time this video goes live, but what's currently upcoming, the Dubachi Rapid GT Classic, will be on my second character because he has the Dubachi collection. And God, I love that car so much, so I may just have to play on my second character more. And by the way, it's not a Mustang. It is not based on a Mustang. If you think it's based on a Mustang, you're wrong. I don't tell people you're just flat out wrong very often, but if you think the Rapid GT Classic is based on a Mustang, you are wrong. Go Google Aston Martin V8, the vintage one from like 1970. You'll see there was no mistaking the Rapid GT Classic for Mustang. Anyways, Tampa, rear-wheel drive muscle car, not all-wheel drive like the Drift Tampa and the weaponized Tampa. Therefore, I am struggling a bit with oversteer and tire spin in the corners and just even on the big hills, honestly. And we're going to struggle with it again here, though that was just my fault right there for turning in a little too soon and hitting the side of the hill. But here, if it was all-wheel drive, I could have made it up right there. But instead, the wheels started spinning. I tried to moderate that with throttle control. Didn't work. So I'm backing up. Going to get some speed so we can get a good run up this hill. But even with that slight snafu there, it's still the fourth fastest muscle car up Mount Chiliad. Coming in with a time of 3 minutes, 16 seconds. Will the Tampa Offroad? Yep, it absolutely will. But that means we now have to find out how it does going back downhill. And of course, that's where the oversteer may come into play again. Though the Tampa does have decent brakes for what it is. I mean, most muscle cars aren't the best in the brake department. The Tampa does okay. Kind of middle of the road for braking. So just got to kind of watch my speed to make sure we don't get going too fast on some of the bumps and jumps and tight turns. And if I do that, it should be an easy enough controlled descent. We'll see, because I really don't remember, because I edited the video together a couple weeks ago, and now I'm recording the voiceover a couple weeks later. That's how time works. Don't ask. I've done a lot of voiceovers today. And so, yeah, the Tampa should be just fine. I mean, it's an easy car to drive. Though I still laugh that they released a muscle car during the festive surprise, 2 years ago now? So the ground was covered with snow, and they released a muscle car. Brilliant timing, Rockstar. Brilliant timing indeed. But I do love the car. I think it's a good-looking car. I like the way it sounds, and I like the way it drives. Plus, there's just a lot you can do with it in the way of customization. Of course, I hate the Drift Tampa. I think it is a worthless piece of shit. And the weaponized Tampa is a lot of fun. But this will always be my favorite Tampa. Because it was my first Tampa. That's not why. I just like it. Oh, kind of barely clipped a hiker. It's been a while since we've just full-on taken out a hiker. No, I guess we landed on one last week, didn't we? I don't remember which car we landed on him with. I think it was the Retinue. Had to have been, because the MOC never made it to the top under its own power. Doing fine on these jumps, though that one I had way too much speed. Not the fault of the car. That was me being overconfident. So now I got to get it back onto the path. Come on, climb. Climb. Nope, 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 nope. Try again. Maybe over here where it's not quite as steep we can get back up. The grass is very slippery though. Trying to just find the sweet spot on the throttle. I think I found it here. There we go. A lot of wheel spin still, but enough traction at least to get it moving back onto the path, and we're back underway. So not too bad of a showing from the Tampa going back down the hill. Again, the one big mishap, my fault, not the car. Handling this section like a champ, though. Look at that. Able to get the back end to step out, but it's still controllable, even with the back end hanging out there. This car does like to hang its ass out. But you know what? That's what makes it fun. It's coming down to the asphalt where this thing should be a little bit more a home, because it does have decent grip. I mean, not the best, but it's decent. Coming around the last little twisty bits here. Not going to get too hard on the throttle because I do not want to spin out. And we are down. 3 minutes, 9 seconds. So let's go back to the top of Mount Chiliad, throw the Tampa off the side, and see what is what. And a strange thing's going to happen with the Tampa here. Since it is a newer car into the game, it doesn't have the most detailed damage model. But if you keep an eye on that right rear, just beneath the spoiler, I guess, the right rear quarter panel, you're going to notice it is going to deform a little bit. Matter of fact, it might already be. It's moving around a little bit too much, which I found a little bit odd. Most of the newer cars, the body panels don't do anything when they take damage. Nothing at all. So that this has some damage in it. Maybe this was the last hurrah of effort on Rockstar's part when it comes to the damage models. I don't really know. You can see right there with it flipped over, the bumper is definitely dented in, and there's the back end has collapsed just a little bit. So, I mean, it's not significant like a lot of cars do with the crushing that the bodies can have, but, you know, still. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water there. I try to hold out when I'm doing voiceovers. I think because the cap on my bottle squeaks. But also because it stops me from talking for a minute. But sometimes, you know, you get to have some water. But look at the Tampa go. I mean, I'm full throttle. But despite the fact that we have some rollovers now and then, and we're in the dirt, it's still pretty easy to control. Which is bizarre for a muscle car. Of course, it did just shed quite a few body panels there. Or maybe just two. Looked like a lot more than that, but maybe just two. Oh! Nailed the top of the concrete. But, you know, it doesn't have the most accurate damage model. It didn't do any damage to the roof. Go figure. We can bang up a rear quarter panel, but nothing else. That's all you get. Rear quarter panel and part of the trunk deck. Backwards through our last tunnel. Through our final bumpy, muddy bit. Trying to go near the wood pile. Kind of missed a little bit. But we are down. 2 minutes, 9 seconds. Let's take a look at the damage on the Tampa. Most of the lights and windows are gone. The trunk and the right fender are gone. The hood and the right door won't close. Slightly bent wheels and minor body damage. And that's going to wrap it up for this Wheel It Off-Road. Don't forget to go vote for the vehicles that you want to see featured by clicking on the link in the description down below. And until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.